Good evening, everyone. I call this 6:05 start to the April 15, 2024 School Board of Directors regular business meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and presentation of colors by the Navy Junior Reserves Officer Training Corps, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join us in a moment of silence as we reflect on those serving in the United States Armed Forces, both past and present, the elected leaders for the state of Pennsylvania, and elected leaders of our nation. We have much to be thankful for in our community. Color Guard post colors. Please be seated. Well, once again, welcome to this meeting. I love to see all the smiling faces, and I see some tie-dye shirts in the audience today. I think I know what that's for. But once again, I call this meeting to start. An executive session announcement. The Board of School Directors met on the following dates in executive session to discuss items in one or more of following areas: legal, personnel, or real estate on April 15, 2024. Superintendent's report, Dr. Stapp.
Sure. Thank you, Mrs. Peterson. We are going to start this evening with our student council report from Josh Zhang.
Thank you. To start off, we have a couple announcements from all of the schools. Starting off with our elementary schools, after an enjoyable spring break, the students and staff have returned refreshed and ready for a busy spring. As for our after-school activities, clubs and intramurals are in full swing at each of the school's PTO and PTA meetings as they are preparing for spring events such as spring fairs, 5th and 6th grade socials, talent shows, and sure-to-be memorable events. At the beginning of the month, we celebrated the Professional Appreciation Day and the School Librarian Appreciation Day. Spring Picture Days are also on the calendar in April, and some schools are welcoming authors or celebrating the end of the year successful readathons. Finally, all of our elementary schools are preparing for PSSAs that will begin at the end of the month and carry over to the first few days of May. Moving on to the middle school, this past Friday evening, our beautiful middle schoolers varsity singers performed America the Beautiful during the second intermission of the Reading Royals hockey game. Congratulations to them on a job well done. The middle school students are also excited for their PTA-sponsored spring dance, which is marked for Friday, April 26th. Congratulations to our middle school Odyssey of the Mind students. Our school's team completed the Pennsylvania State Finals competition on Saturday, April 6th. Our teams excelled in all proportions of their competition, and the middle school has students from grades 6th through 8th grade competing in the contest. One of our 4 competing teams finished as PA state champions, earning the right to move on to the competition and represent OGR at the World Finals competition to be held at Iowa State University in May. We also had 2 of our teams complete the contest in 4th place, and another team moved to 5th place, finished in 5th place. Congratulations to all participants, and we are very proud of you. On Tuesday, April 9th, our Owen J. Roberts Middle School Reading Olympics team competed against other middle schools in the county. The Reading Olympics program is based on the belief that good reading habits form the foundation for a productive and successful life. This awesome group of 7th and 8th grade students have also been working hard all year to read the list of books provided by the CCIU. Their love for reading is truly inspiring. Finally, we move on to the high school. And our high school students have been active in traveling for a number of great opportunities over the last month. 6 students traveled to Lancaster for the Future Health Professional State Leadership Conference. The National Art Honor Society visited New York, and the indoor percussion participated in the WGI East Regionals in New Jersey. Additionally, our choir participated in the PMEA Music Performance Assessment at Immaculata University, receiving a rating of superior, which is the highest rate given. Over the last month, we have inducted students into four different World Language Honor Societies and also inducted our inaugural class into the International Thespian Society. The spring sports season is also underway, though the weather hasn't been particularly cooperative with us thus far. On a particular note, our unified track and field team participated in its first event meet last Wednesday afternoon at Henderson High School. We will host our first unified track and field meet on Friday, April 19th at 3:30 p.m. for anyone who is interested and coming to support. Finally, our first ever junior prom was hosted on Saturday, April 6th at the Sunnybrook Ballroom and was a huge success. We're looking forward to the senior prom in a few weeks as a kickoff to our end of our senior activities. Senior specific information has been sent directly to 12th grade students and families and is going to be posted on our weekly newsletter. Our largest class is District History will graduate in the stadium at 6:30 on Friday, June 7th, which will be here now before we know it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Josh. As superintendent, I enjoy these evenings when we're able to recognize a lot of students. And as you look around the room, we have a lot of students here this evening, and all the students that we're recognizing tonight have been involved at the state level in their respective sport or their club or their activity. So like I said, as superintendent, I'm extremely proud of all the students that are here tonight. So we're going to start that recognition now. And I believe we're going to start first with the high school principal, Mr. Kohler.
There we go. I was gonna say that was a little forced, but I'll take it when I can get it. So I appreciate it. So like Dr. Stout said, this evening we are recognizing high school students who have had the opportunity to perform at the state level across a wide variety of disciplines. One of the great benefits of being the high school principal is I get to work with this year 1,830 really talented students. And so we're very excited tonight to be able to recognize these students. I want to start by inviting members of the girls cross country team who are with us tonight to come on up to the front. So girls cross country had an incredible season. They are defending PAC champions, have made quite a run through the PAC over the course of the last couple of years. But on top of that, we're District 1 champions for the second year in a row. District 1 is one of the most competitive regions in the state, especially with regard to depth. So the fact that these young ladies have been able to win that district 2 consecutive years is really impressive. So we have certificates for each student, and I'm just going to run through in order here. I am going to recognize all of the students, whether they're here or not tonight. So first is Amelie Blatz, Kaya D'Angelo, Nora Horton, Julia Coronos, Hallie Kish, Jane Kratz, Ava Taylor, and Ellie Thompson. All right, so next up, we're going to recognize, I'm going to have both the boys swimmers and the girls swimmers come up. We had 9 different students who qualified for states this year. So if I can have boys and girls swim team members come on up. The boys are going to represent for the girls tonight. All right. So first up, congratulations, Patrick Bowker. Colin Davis, Jude Mose, Ethan Sussmuth. And Sam Valino. And then on the girls' side, in the event that we have anybody joining us via Zoom tonight, we're recognizing Mackenzie Gorman, Meredith Hummel, Caitlin McGuire, and Audrey Schroeder. Next up, I'd like to welcome 3 members of our boys wrestling team. So as these guys are coming up, it is a really big deal to have any student from your school medal at states. We happen to have 3 of our students who medaled at states this year, finishing 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. The gentlemen before you have a combined record of 127 and 10 on the year. There's a lot of wins and not many losses. All 3 of these guys represented us in Hershey. So first at 172 pounds with a record of 44 and 6 this year and finishing 3rd overall in the state is Sam Gautreau. Second, with a record of 41 and 4 over the course of the year, wrestling at 285 pounds and finishing 2nd overall in the state is Dean Bechtold. And then lastly, with a record over the course of this year of 42 and 0, an undefeated senior season, and the state champion at 215 pounds, Dylan Bechtold. All right, now we are going to switch gears and talk about some of our students in the performing arts. So the Pennsylvania Music Educators Association runs a series of different conferences over the course of the year, again, in a variety of different disciplines. We are lucky enough that we have 2 students who have qualified for all-state chorus. I know at least one of them is here tonight. Cecily, do you want to come up? So we've got 2 students who qualified for all-state chorus. So Cecily Vu, congratulations, Cecily. And then our second student was Aaliyah Booth-Gent, and I believe that she is with us on Zoom this evening. And these students are actually heading out on Wednesday to go out towards Erie, where the conference is taking place later this week. So we wish you the best of luck and congratulations. In addition to All-State Chorus, we also had a student qualify for the All-State A Cappella Festival, which will also be held in Erie, and that is Thomas Moliterno. And Tom, I think you're here. All right, and now we're going to recognize our Odyssey of the Mind students, and I'm going to step aside and have Dr. Smith come up and recognize our elementary students first.
Gonna bail out on me, huh? All right, thank you. Yes. So we have a bunch of teams tonight from District Odyssey of the Mind that just completed their state finals competition weekend before last. So this evening, you're going to get to see 3 first-place teams, state championship teams, 2 second-place teams, all of which have been invited to compete in World Finals competition in Iowa State. I'm going to start with East Vincent Elementary School. They were 2nd place in the competition. Could I have Anushka Bejoy Jacob come on up? Mr. Jackson Fields. Couple are not here tonight. Vincent Nyman. Yes, stay here, little one. And then how about Juliana Handler? There you go. Reese Sutcliffe. The amazing Anika Muddenkamar. And outstanding Ishanvi Vijala. So you guys know how to like. Yeah. Miss Photogenic. There you go. Oh. Hey. Our middle school team finished in first place, state champions this year. I'll start with Ms. Annabelle Alex. Sophia Carroll. Caroline Nguyen. Christopher Wagner couldn't join us tonight. Hopefully he's on Zoom, so you guys can clap for him. How about Claire McAllister? Asha Dada. How about the incredibly handsome Ben Nguyen? And we have three teams from our high school tonight, two state champions in a second place group. I know a lot of these ones aren't here tonight, but again, I'll announce the names. I know that guy's here. Yes. So how about if we start with Christian Carroll, not present. There you go. Amon Murray, also, there you go. Julia Robinson. Olivia Savatka. Nick Shamel. Josh Zhang. And Jonathan Alex. Try to look like 7 people. Very good, gentlemen. We have a couple other high school coaches, Ms. Lisa Duffy. No, you got to come up. Yes. And Jess Lyman. Yes, yes.
Thank you. That would be lovely. There you go. So our team, we have one missing. Seamus Fry is missing. He's working. Say thank you to Seamus. Everybody clap. We have Will Peterson. Nathan Lyman. Ryan Matthews. Max Zimmerman. Amina Muhammad. Juliet Maurer. And I'd like to add that we've also earned the Renatra Putra Award, which is for the original engineering of our vehicle, which is not very often given. So it's a big honor for OJR to have this. Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more high school team, and I will say that this is an all-girls technical team. So I'm super proud of them because they have to engineer something. They had an engineer, a robot this year, and it was very difficult, but they did it and they came in first place. And they came in first place because they're so smart and they're spontaneous problems. So they are amazing. I have Iris Herlock, who is not here tonight. Sophia Lineman. Claire Mangold, sorry. Manna Gold, sorry, Manna Gold. Sorry. Darcy Mathis. Catherine Schweitzer. And Haley Wilson, who can't be here tonight also.
Filling these back.
Okay, just so everyone knows, and again, congratulations to all of our students who were recognized tonight and also to all the coaches and advisors. I know it's a lot of work by all to win those accomplishments. So just so you know, we'll have a break here in about 2 minutes after I'm done my superintendent remarks. And because most times you come here and you wonder, when the heck am I going to get out of this meeting? So we've been building these in when we have student recognition. So I just have a couple remarks here. And then we will take a short break and Mr. Rodriguez is available to take more photos. Even if you want to take a photo with board members and the superintendent will be available for that as well. So, or you can just run to the door if that's what you prefer. We have one retiree on tonight's agenda who is not with us, but I do want to read some remarks about this person. Linda Swavely, who's a special education administrative assistant. Tonight, we're honored to recognize Linda, a special education administrative assistant who has been with the district for 24 years. While Linda couldn't join us tonight, I want to share a little bit about her contributions to the OJR and her service to the community. Linda spent the first part of her career at East Coventry Elementary prior to moving to the special education department, where she has helped the department remain in compliance with state and federal laws. Linda's colleagues note how she has helped countless students achieve their potential by routinely going above and beyond to assist our school psychologists, IEP facilitators, special education supervisors, and teachers so that they can focus on supporting students. So I'd like to thank Linda for all of her service to our Wildcat community. We wish her a very happy retirement. Also on tonight's agenda, the board administration community will be recognizing our teachers with a Teacher Appreciation Week resolution. This is the beginning of the fourth quarter and there are lots of end of the year activities going on. April 24th is our annual Farm Day, where our high school students welcome our younger students for an introduction into our agriculture program. Rain date is April 25th. As many of you know, we are no longer combining the junior and senior proms. This is the first year for that. The junior prom was held on Saturday, April 6th at the Sunnybrook Ballroom, and the senior prom is scheduled for Saturday, May 4th at the Sheraton Valley Forge Inn in King of Prussia. Details can be found on the high school webpage. I know Mr. Kohler's with us. That this is the first year of a junior prom because of our enrollment, and we just have too many students to have one particular venue. And the junior prom, according to Mr. Kohler, was quite successful. So we're very pleased that we were able to do that and have a more intimate experience for our students. SATs are scheduled for Saturday, May 4th. And this year's Special Olympics event will be held on Wildcat Field on Friday, May 10th. And Mrs. Peterson, that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. As Dr. Stout said, we're going to take a brief recess. So if any of the kids would like to come out and take some more team pictures, and it gives us a chance to congratulate you. And then if you'd like to excuse yourselves, that is totally understandable. So we'll take a brief recess. Thank you. Okay, we are back from recess. We hear tumbleweed now. Moving on to agenda item 5, public comment. There are two opportunities for public comment. The first section is for information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to items on the agenda that will be voted on tonight. Speakers are to indicate your name, township of residence, and the items on the agenda to which your comments are addressed. Speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Please understand that this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. The second section will be at the end of the meeting and is for residents to speak on any item. Also, if you have any question for the school board, please email all Board of School Directors at schoolboardmembers@ojrsd.net, and you will receive a written response. For anyone online who would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand function. When it is your turn to speak, please state your name and township of residence.
Really? Okay, Colleen Blue, North Coventry Township, East Coventry Township. I'm here tonight because I had a parent come to me upset.
What agenda item, please?
Oh, I don't know. It's the hiring of
Pick one.
the lacrosse coach.
I don't believe that's on the agenda tonight, is it?
Extracurricular.
It is under. Okay.
Like I said, no papers, nothing, okay? I'm concerned after what they told me. Apparently, the previous coach resigned on the 26th of March, which means to me on the 27th, that job should have been posted. Posted the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th, and 31st. With interviewees being called on the April 1st and interviews set on April 2nd. That's plenty of time to hire a coach. Nowhere did I see it posted anywhere that they were looking for a lacrosse coach. If you're looking for a lacrosse coach, you post it. Right now, it smells of impropriety. It smells of backdoor politics. It smells of let's just shift some people around. So then I thought, okay, the person they're hiring used to be the assistant coach. Is that person getting assistant coach's pay up until today when he or she is approved? Or are they going to go back and give them head coach pay from the beginning of the season? It's not going to make any difference because you really don't care. I do. It's my tax dollars. I work hard for my money. Maybe some of you don't have to, but I do. I don't think that it's fair to the girls to have now a missing assistant coach if that person is hired. The girls need continuity. If you put him as an interim, it also implies that he'll be hired again comes next year. The interview process should have been done because I know of 2 people that would have taken an interview slot and coached at this school district. Thank you.
Heather McCurry, item number 7.6, acknowledge receipt of student activity reports. Maybe this was an oversight, but there were no attachments to this, which I think we agreed a long time ago that these reports would be attached, but the significant one that's on there, this microphone is really weird tonight. The significant report on there is the fact that there's $44,000 in the student government fund, right? So there's also, I noticed on the last ones, a significant amount of money in the class accounts. So the kids that are in charge of the accounts should know what this money is so that the money can be used on the kids while they're in school, right? So I don't know, Josh, if you know that, no response required, but that is a lot of money, $44,000. My kids' money is in there from 15 and 17, right? So you could have a post-prom party. You could go on a class trip to Hershey Park. You could do something with that money. If you don't use it, it will go into the district money and you don't get to use it again. Piggyback on the hiring of the lacrosse coach. I think there needs to be checks and balances put into place to assure that the best season is there for the kids, because those in the public that won't come up to say it are talking about it, right? They're talking about that it wasn't handled properly, and it's like a black mark on top of this. I wore this tonight. We won the state championships last year, right? Don't we want that again? Thank you.
Any online comments?
Dana, if you can unmute and please state your full name and township of residence.
Thank you, Dana Chaffone, East Vincent Township. Congratulations, by the way, to our student athletes and all of the Odyssey of the Mind teams. You guys inspire us. I think the item I want to speak to is 13.13 Master Facility Plan. I've been following along for the most part, and I believe that the total spend at one point in one document was over $100 million. And I also understand that this is based on a study that was done, I think, in 2017 and was published in 2018. So my first question is, with that level of spending, why is the district not required to go to a referendum vote on this borrowing that will need to be done in order to fund these projects? And frankly, most of what I'm going to say tonight is more questions than wrapped around comments, I guess. The other question I have to that is, has there been any release of tax implications related to this spending and what they would look at, or what that would look at like over the years? And then also the communication of some of this to the residents of the district, the residents at large. I wonder how many really know what's happening here and what the impact of this level of spending will be to them or on them from a tax perspective. The other question I guess I have is, are there cost benefits that have been done on this? I know some of the things, and I'm not referring to like replacing a roof or a turf field or some of the HVAC systems that I noticed, but some of these other things, for example, a new sports complex that looks like it would be installed. Has there been, with enrollment declining, has there been a cost benefit? I guess sort of boiling this all down to like the directive here, is this given by the school board or by administration? And then how do we back that up? What sort of numbers, other than estimating the cost of all these things, how do we back that up to make really good decisions around our spending? And I kind of bring this back to academics as well, because I wonder, how does this impact our spending on academics and special education as well? The other point to this is that I think most parents will tell you, every time you turn around, there's a request for fundraising for something through the PTAs, through Best Buddies, and they're all great things and great programs. But then I look at spending $120 million on capital, and I just, we can't afford some of these everyday needs for our students. So I just asked you to reflect on those questions, and really the age of the feasibility study that was done. By the time these projects are implemented, it'll be like over 10 years old. So just some questions on that. And then I do have another point. I don't have enough time. It's about the special education plan for the state, 13.6. I know
We have hit the 3-minute mark.
Okay.
We will have additional comments at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any additional online comments? Okay. We're moving on to agenda item 6, board committee reports. 6.1, Chester County Intermediate Unit, Mrs. Munson.
All right, all of you see the invitation letter to the TCHS Pickering Board Appreciation Dinner. And I encourage you to go if you can. It's always fun. There is also, let's see, our last meeting was held the Wednesday after our board meeting. And there we're essentially looking through all the details of the next budget. So our budget has seen the trickle down effects of a slight increase to tuition and increase in number of students from our district going to TCHS Pickering, and that's already accommodated for in our budget. The overall approach of the CCIU this year has been to attempt to keep everything well under the Act 1 index. So I do believe that some of the things that we are paying for are up to a 4% increase, but I've been seeing all of those changes reflected in our budget for any areas where OJR is paying the CCIU for their services, or particularly the TCHS enrollment and tuition. We also have, that's basically it. The next meeting for the CCIU is this Wednesday, April 17th at 7:30 at TCHS Penixbury. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Munson. 6.2 Curriculum and Special Education Committee, Ms. Sabo.
The curriculum committee did not meet in April. However, the department worked hard this month preparing the in-service day this past week and continuing to preparation for the Title I audit. Summer camp registration is underway and several of the popular camps are already filled. There is still room and plenty of the program sessions to still register. In the coming weeks, teachers will be getting students ready for spring PSSA, Keystone, and AP exams. IB exams began this past week. New textbooks are included on the agenda for this evening. These are the same books that have been in board line communication for the past month. The next curriculum committee meeting will be during the working session on April 6th at 6 p.m. in the high school LGI. Agenda will include an update from the Title I program and the gifted program.
Thank you, Mrs. Sabo. 6.3 Finance, Buildings and Grounds Committee, Mr. Harmonos.
The Finance, Buildings and Grounds Committee met on April 11, 2014. During that meeting, we discussed the proposed athletics budget, the final proposed general fund budget, Pennsylvania Public School Facility Improvement Grant Program, and the Master's Facilities Plan request for proposals. Tonight, we have several items on the agenda. Agenda items 1310, 1311, and 1312 all reference the 24-25 proposed budget, which is up for proposed budget approval, display, and advertising. Just to remind everybody, we met 7 times in the past year. During the meetings, we discussed the general operating fund budget and timeline, and student enrollment and staffing projections and capital projects fund budgets. We also included a budget update during the 2 town hall meetings that took place in the fall and the spring. We have agenda item 13.13, approval to solicit proposals for professional engineering services and architectural services to begin design development of the master's facilities plan as recommended by our committee during the April 11th meeting. So again, we will be sending out requests for proposals to begin design of the master's facilities plan. Agenda item 13.14, approval of the Chester County Intermediate Units budget for next year, which ONJR's participating school district for occupational education and numerous marketplace services, such as services for special education, mental health support, and curriculum support. The occupational education rate is increasing by 4%, and marketplace services are limited to price increases of 5.3%. Agenda item 13.15. This agenda item includes the district's contract with Chartwells to continue providing school breakfast and lunches for next year. In addition, free breakfasts will continue to be provided to all students. And finally, agenda item 13.16. There are several professional service agreements related to summer projects such as the West Vincent Elementary School driveway widening and building renovations related to the implementation of a full day K program that is slated for the 25-26 school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harmonos. 6.4 Legislative and Policy Committee, Ms. Munson.
Legislative and Policy has not met since our last meeting, so the only things you will see on tonight's is the section 13.5, which are the policies for second reading. These are primarily changes to accommodate new language that is recommended by the state around military children. Thank you.
6.5 Personnel Committee, Dr. Vitoli.
No report.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, agenda item 7.1. May I have a motion to approve recommended routine matters consent items 7.2 through 7.9?
So moved.
Mrs. Sabo,
Second.
Mr. Harmonos, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I'm sorry. Agenda item 8.1, acknowledge receipt of donations, contributions, and gifts. This month, we are recognizing the Owen J. Roberts Education Foundation for a $3,600 grant to be used for one non-electric acoustic tile wall panel at West Vincent Elementary School. May I have a motion to acknowledge the receipt of donations, contributions, and gifts as I read them?
Move.
Dr. Ratoli,
Second.
Mrs. Sabo, any discussion?
Yeah, thanks to the Education Foundation. I just want to know what that is. A non-electric acoustic tile.
I'm happy to answer that question because I thought you might ask me that question, so I had to find that out. It's really and I know Dr. Benton's here as well, but it's a sensory wall panel at West Vincent for students to keep them occupied. I don't know if you want to explain it any more than that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 9, the approval of routine matters consent items. 9.1, motion to approve routine matters consent items 9.2 through 9.5. May I have a motion to approve the following routine matters, which are items 9.2 through 9.5 as consent items?
So moved.
Mr. Harmonos,
Second.
Mr. Malmazak, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Agenda item 10, board discussion. Is there any board discussion at this time? Mrs. Carmine, can you explain for a student activity account, does that money revert to the district at some point, or does it stay in the student activity account?
I'm happy to
Thank you.
explain. In the student, I would say in the graduating class, it always stays within the student activities, just as a simple answer. It does not ever revert back to the school district's general operating fund. It will always stay in the student activity account if it's not spent down. Graduating classes will often decide if there's money in their class to donate something back to the school and buy something for the school or for the students. But no, revert back to the operating fund of the district.
And they can also choose to keep some amount of it as a gift to a class behind them to, if it stays in the student government account, the class behind them has access to that money.
The student government account, if for class funds, they could
Sorry.
choose to do that. The student government account is really the school's governing body. So they usually don't do that because they're operating all of the time.
Okay.
So they will usually, they have a plan for the funds.
But at no point it reverts to the general fund of the school.
No,
district.
never,
Thank you.
never.
Any additional discussion? You have a minute.
So, for example, class of 2020, there's 20, so it just will sit there in perpetuity if nobody comes back to use it.
Well, it won't sit there in perpetuity. After a certain point in time, then we will, if they haven't made a decision, and make a decision. They can't pull the money out and use it for anything they want, but they can, for example, buy a bench and donate it to the district, or they can do things for the high school. Or they can donate it into the student government account, because that's the full governing body. Those are in our student activity accounting procedures manual. And if not, then after a point in time, it will go to the next class. But we do let it sit for a couple of years. You're not going to see anything from, 19 or whatever, 2002 or anything on there, but we will give them some time.
So it was 2020 is the first one. So we don't contact the students who were like the officers to say, hey, 4 years ago, there was money.
Oh,
since
we
then."
contact the officers. If we don't receive a response within a certain period of time, then it will be donated back into the student government account because that's that really governs the student body. Most other clubs are very specific, you know what I mean?
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess the basic question is nobody else can access those funds.
Correct. That's correct.
Any additional board discussion?
I'd just like to mention that we did refresh our master plan. We had several presentations on it this past year.
Thank you. We good? Moving on to old business. Okay. We're gonna move on to an agenda item 11, old business. Mrs. Carmine, do we have an old business?
No, Mrs. Peterson, there's no.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 12, new business, the approval of personnel matters. May I have a motion to approve personnel matters consent items 12.2 through 12.6?
So moved.
Mrs. Munson,
Second.
Mr. Chevelle Fuller, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, agenda item 13.1, the approval of Teacher Appreciation Week resolution. I'm going to go ahead and read this resolution. Teacher Appreciation Week Resolution, May 6th through 10, 2024. Whereas America's greatest strength has always been an educated citizenry, and whereas that educated citizenry is is directly attributable to our system of free and universal public education that provides an educational opportunity for all students. And whereas the foundation upon which that system of public schooling rests in the classroom teacher, and whereas the classroom teacher is challenged daily to reach out to every student, regardless of ability, interest in learning, social or economic background, physical, mental, or emotional handicap, race, religion, creed, or ethnic origin, to provide the assistance and guidance necessary for full intellectual development. And whereas the classroom teacher is a key to the intellectual and occupational preparation of individual citizens who collectively determine the quality of life in America and in this community. And whereas the work of the classroom teacher deserves the deepest respect and admiration and the citizens of this community. Now therefore be it resolved that May 7, 2024 be proclaimed Teacher Appreciation Day at the Owen J. Roberts School District for the purpose of providing public recognition and appreciation for the dedication and contribution of the classroom teacher, not only to this community as a whole, but to each of us as individual citizens. This will be adopted at the meeting of the Board of School Directors of the Owen J. Roberts School District on the 15th day of April, 2024. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Dr. Malmezak. Second, Ms. Chevelle Fuller. Any discussion?
Seems to me well deserved.
Agreed. I think we, especially for those of us whose children are currently in our schools and are actively being taught by the professionals of this district. I know I speak on behalf of all parents that we not only appreciate the work, but we see the work that you're doing, and we hope that we are supportive of that work. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, Joshua, this is up for you. 13.2, approval to grant diplomas to the class of 2024. You want? May I have a motion for the approval to grant diplomas to the class of 2024 as presented?
So moved.
Ms. Sabo?
Second.
Mrs. Chevelle Fuller, any discussion? Did you check, Josh? Make sure you're on the list. Okay, good.
It just showed him he's good.
It's a horrible time to find out you maybe, no, good job. Any additional discussion?
I'd
All
just
the-
like to say congratulations to the class of 2024.
I think for those of us who are at last year's graduation, especially for those of us for whom maybe it was our first or second time as a board member, this is one of the cool things that we get to do. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.3, the approval of conference attendance. May I have a motion for the approval of conference attendance as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Harmonos,
Second.
Mrs. Munson, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.4, the ratification approval of out-of-state overnight student trips. May I have a motion for the ratification approval of out-of-state overnight student trips as presented?
So moved.
Mrs. Spelfour? Dr. Ratoli, any discussion?
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
So when we did a tour, not just last Friday,
Mhm.
of the district and we saw the ROTC area, I was very impressed. Impressed with the kids, the students, really young adults, and with the people in charge. It was really very moving. And it's a great opportunity for students.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.5, the approval of policies for second reading. May I have approval, or may I have a motion for the approval of policies for second reading as presented? And they are policy 254, policy 200, policy 202, and policy 217.
So moved.
Mrs. Munson,
Second.
Mrs. Sabo, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.6, the approval of the OJR State Special Education Plan. May I have a motion for the approval of the OJR State Special Education Plan as presented?
So moved.
Mrs. Sabo,
Second.
Mrs. Bell Fuller, any discussion?
I just would like to commend Dr. Beckman on a wonderful job of putting it together and presenting it.
Agreed. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.7, the approval of textbooks for the 2024-2025 school year. May I have a motion for the approval of textbooks for the 24-25 school year as presented?
So moved.
Mrs. Sabo,
Second.
Mrs. Munson, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.8, the approval to establish a student activity. May I have a motion to approve, for the approval to establish a student activity club in accordance with the provisions of section 511 of the Pennsylvania School Code and School Board Regulation 122A and or 122B as presented. This approval also provides for the establishment of accounts within the student activity accounting system where applicable. And this is for teens gathering in faith.
Did I ask questions before?
No, we make a motion first. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Dr. Malmazak? A second?
Second.
Mr. Harmonos, any discussion?
I just want to clarify, I know student-led prayer groups can exist in school and student-led faith-based groups. And my question was that this group is fundraising to support the baccalaureate program, which is not an Ellen J. Roberts program, correct? I mean, in their language, it says to support the OJR High School Baccalaureate program. Do we have other clubs that fundraise for an activity like this?
Not that I'm aware of, and we did not have a baccalaureate last year because there was an interest in having, oh, we did have one? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so, obviously to have a club like this is a club that we would need to approve, but it was brought to my attention about that fundraising, and that's something we're gonna have to check into.
So do we have to table this if we're checking into it?
Well, we can approve the club and then just look into the description there was what the club will actually do. So we can approve the club, but if we have a problem with the actual description, we could amend that or modify that.
So it would come back before us, or it would not.
Brian, what are your thoughts on that? Would it need to come back? There's just a question within the description they provided, if
I
what
would-
they're proposing they can do.
I would recommend that it be approved subject to the administration confirmation that their stated activities are in accordance with applicable law. So if the first and second are okay with an amendment to that effect, that would be Mr. Milnazak and Mr. Armanos.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's fine with me too.
So we're gonna amend the motion.
Yes, it would be by a friendly amendment, agreed to by the persons who made the motion. So the motion as presented would be with my suggested revision.
Which Mrs. Cremley.
Do you have that? Okay.
We have to read-motion.
We don't have to so there is a motion of an amended,
So I'm asking the two of you, since you made the motion, seconded, do you accept the proposed amendment? And that way we don't need to do the formal vote.
Okay.
till
I
then.
accept.
Okay.
Don't make me say it over again, please.
So now what's on the table is the amended motion.
okay, and we vote on that.
Correct.
Okay, is there any more discussion on the amended motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, 13.10, the approval of resolution authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising.
13-9.
13.9.
13.9.
Yep.
I thought I finished 13.9.
Oh, you did 13.
13.8. I believe that was 13.8. And you may
Oh,
want to
okay.
amend that one as well. Because the first 13.8 is establishment of the club and 13.9 is creation of the accounts. And appointment of the advisors. So you might want to approve that just subject to the amendment.
I don't think the
Yeah.
application needed an account.
Mhm.
They do.
They did, because
They're requesting an account
requesting fundraising.
to fundraise. Which is 13.9 and they did request.
Oh.
Yeah.
And we do allow clubs to fundraise. I think the question will be that we'll need to research what can they use those funds for? And so that's what we'll do administratively. We'll update you once we have a ruling on that. We'll update you via board line. And then we'll let the club and advisors know as well.
And I would also point out that one of the issues is not just what they're fundraising for, but district resources should not be used for fundraising for the baccalaureate ceremony. So it's not just what it is being fundraised for, but that district resources can't be used for it. So not just how it is used, but how the fundraising happens. Okay. Okay, so 13.9, we have the approval of student activity club advisors and student officers in accordance with the provisions of section 511 of Pennsylvania School Code for the 23-24 school year as presented.
And that would also be subject to confirmation by the district administration that the applicable uses of the accounts are in accordance with applicable law.
Should we separate out the two activities? And because we can pass the OJR girls lacrosse independently.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Should we
that's
do
right.
that?
Yeah. Well, we could just make note that proviso applies only to team gathering and faith.
Okay. Okay. So can I have a motion with the amended and a proviso, please?
So moved.
Mr. Harmonos. Dr. Ratoli. Any discussion? So we are,
We're voting on the motion as presented with the proviso that in regard to teams gathering in faith, it would be subject to confirmation by the district administration that the use of the accounts would be in accordance with applicable law.
any additional discussion on that motion?
Yeah, it's a little confusing, but I don't want to detract from the students'
Yeah.
willingness to do this. So we thank them for that. It doesn't reflect upon you. It's just, details. So thank you.
Right, the intention is not to stop the students from doing something, but make sure that they are doing it in accordance to. law. Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.10, the approval of resolution authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising. May I have a motion for the approval of resolution authorizing notice of proposed final budget display and advertising?
So moved.
Mr. Harmonos,
Second.
Dr. Malnazak, any discussion? And to be clear, this is a motion that allows us to advertise the budget work that has been done, as Mr. Harmonos said, over 7 public meetings.
We will be voting for the final budget in May.
Thank you. Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.11, the approval of final budget notice. May I have a motion for the approval of final budget notice as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Harmonos?
Second.
Dr. Melmezak, any discussion?
I think we should add that in addition to the required by law steps for advertising, we also have a nice, easy, consumable one-pager summary that's not required by law, but easier for people to understand. So definitely check that out.
I think it's on the website.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.12, the approval of proposed 2024-25 governmental and proprietary funds budgets. May I have a motion for the approval of proposed 2024-25 governmental and proprietary funds budget as presented?
So moved.
Mr. Harmonos.
Second.
Dr. Malmezak, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.13, the approval to solicit proposals for professional engineering and architectural services to begin design development of the master facility plan. May I have a motion for the approval to solicit proposals for the professional engineering and architectural services through a request for proposal process to begin design development of the master facility plan as recommended by the Finance, Building and Grounds Committee on April 11, 2024.
So moved.
Ms. Bell Fuller,
Second.
Dr. Otoli. Any discussion?
Just a reminder, we still haven't spent any money,
Right.
So this is just the company is, telling us what their idea is. And then at a later time, we're still going to have to vote on the actual project.
Right, and it'll be really interesting to see how it develops as we get into the details, because of course, there are things that change over time and we realize it as we get down into that next layer of development. So I'm very excited to see what comes out of these proposals.
Any additional discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.14, the approval of the 24-25 Chester County Intermediate Unit number 24 budget. May I have a motion for the approval of the 24-25 Chester County Intermediate Unit 24 budget, number 24 budget as presented?
So moved.
Ms. Munson,
Second.
Mr. Harmonos, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.15, the approval of award for request for proposals, Food Service Management Company. May I have a motion for the approval of award for request for proposals, Food Service Management Company as presented? Dr. Otoli,
Second.
Mr. Harmonos, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 13.16, the approval of professional services maintenance agreements. May I have a motion for the approval a ratification of professional services maintenance agreements as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Harmonos and Dr. Melmezak, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We are on agenda item 14, public comment. Information, proposals, and statements from individuals or delegations pertaining to any item. Speakers are to indicate your name and township of residence. Speakers will be limited to not more than 3 minutes. Please understand that this is not a time for dialogue with the board. Rather, the board will listen to all comments and consider them in future deliberations. Also, if you have a question for the school board, please email all Board of School Directors at schoolboardmembers@ojrsd.net, and you will receive a written response. For anyone online who would like to make a comment, please use the raise hand function. When it is your turn to speak, please state your name and township of residence.
Okay, Heather McCurry, East Coventry. So in 2017, you could take the senior class to the Spirit of Philadelphia for breakfast for $24 a kid. I don't know how many kids are in the Spirit, the senior class, but 350 times 24 is 8,400. Could spend that student government money. Numerous comments all over the place. I'll email you guys. There was baccalaureate at this school. Kind of went down during COVID, but it's a shame it can't be at this school instead of at a church. The groups came and performed, and there wasn't a need to collect any money. I don't know what they're collecting money for, but I think it was at the school, for those of you guys who are not familiar with that. So I'm not really sure why it got removed from the school. I really think you guys need to go back and understand the structure and whatnot in this school, because like the fight thing that happened and everything, in 2018, we studied on the board the structure and what was needed here. We broke off the athletic director and added a principal to do solely the activities and the assessments and to be in charge of the IB program. That went for a while. It got kind of mixed up then during COVID and reordering, but there are actually 5 principals in this school, which include the 4 in the high school office and Dr. Cuthbert, because he was hired because he was a principal. So I think with the negative stuff with the fighting and all of that nonsense, the fighting is a little bit more than that needs to be looked at to see what can be kept order in here. Because I can't imagine being a kid walking down the hallway and getting hit with a Chromebook or getting slammed into something as a result of other kids that are fighting. I also think that it's time to go back and revisit the parent as coaches policy, because there was also a fundraising question about the lacrosse team, because they're out there fundraising. They have an incredible amount of money in their account too. Back to the fact that the athletic director has certain duties. He has less duties than most other schools, because most other schools have activities under the athletic director. Here, we do not. And that person was hired at a significant amount of money more than other schools just to do the athletics. But I do recall seeing, and this would be in the fundraising, that they're fundraising to be able to go, the lacrosse team to go to Florida next year, which is when you're going to have a parent with a child on the team. So that came into play. We went through this numerous times in this district, and maybe people don't know the history. I have no idea why people don't pay attention to that, but that's one of the reasons that came up. Post-prom, all of our neighbors are having it. I know this is an issue, it gets hotly debated, but you have to start somewhere in this school district modeling behavior, saying to kids,
Thank you.
alcohol
We
parties
did
are
3
not
minutes.
okay.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chester,
Sorry,
please
we did the
resign
3
if you're not
minutes.
going to
Thank
come.
you. I'll just see that.
Dana, if you can unmute and please state your full name and township of residence.
Thank you, Dana Schifoni, East Vincent Township. Yes, I understand the funds obviously haven't been spent, or there's not been a commitment to that capital spending at this point. I know that the school board, however, does like to not hear from parents, or residents right before a vote is about to happen. It's sort of like too late at that point. So I hope that there will be more information provided, you know, as far as financial analysis and tax implications once you get to that point with your bids that come in or your estimates for those projects. The other piece that I wanted to talk about that I ran out of time was the state special education plan. And I understand that's for the state, and so it makes sense that the goals are related to the state testing. My question is there another layer to this as far as, you know, what the plans are at a more detailed level? I think the way it's described to meet those goals is through professional development and using data to drive decisions. I'm wondering, are there other technologies or programming that the district is considering for our special education and special needs students? In particular, executive functioning curriculum. I know I brought this up, and I think there might be pieces of this interwoven throughout the curriculum, but I am aware that Radnor School District does have an executive function curriculum, and I would just ask that that be addressed at some point by the curriculum committee at a working session. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, any additional online comments? Yeah.
This time I have notes. Colleen Blute, North Coventry, East Coventry. Y'all know I teach. Y'all know I taught kindergarten for 30 years. I taught half day. And we were instrumental under Governor Rendell in 2003 of opening our full day kindergarten. It is now 2023. Owen J. Roberts has wasted 20 years of not having full day kindergarten. You're going to waste another year. Those littles need full day kindergarten. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic income. It doesn't matter about anything. They need to be in one place all the time. If the parents are worried about full before and after school care, I'll tell you how to do it. We did it. We made it happen. But they need to be in one building as soon as you can get them in. Wasting another year it's not going to be good. They need it. They love it. So they take a nap for a half an hour. They get used to it. They play, they interact, they have their social emotional learning. Everything is there in one building. Instead of putting them from a school to a daycare, back to here, back to there, moving them. No, bring them in, let them have the full day program. It can be done. Pottstown School District and Pottsgrove are examples of it. Twin Valley has it. Daniel Boone has it. Reading has it. Everybody has it. Just call them, they'll help you. It's a great program. Don't waste another year.
Okay. Agenda item 15, board discussion, follow-up and request for information. Is there any additional discussion or request for information at this time? Okay, we are moving toward adjournment. Thank you all very much for your time and attention.